So Lucas, this is pretty exciting stuff. All right, we are now in the electrical component space, which was part of the supply division, S1, and we are now just aft of the place we were. And I'll let Lucas talk about that a little bit more, but we are in the electrical component space. Obviously, there's all the component numbers, shelving. You have the potential desk right here where the ledger would be, the checkout and logout parts. And this used to be, in her original, the USS Little Rock's original configuration, 3 disparate powder rooms. All right, so we're going to let Lucas kind of take over. It's a little low light here, but and with the shelving units, it's a little tough to see, but we'll imagine what's going on here. So Lucas, let's start us off.
Yeah, so if you remember from last video, we ended at this blanked off door that should be somewhere on the other side of this cabinet. And unfortunately, there's just no way to tell what it was for. We know why it was sealed, because you can't really use a door when this is here. But it's a bit of a mystery what it was for.
Yes, so we really have a hard time answering that. But if you remember, that was right on the other side is the new 5-inch projectile space, where again on the deck was the black non-skid where the sailors walked, and then the white where the shelving units were. So yeah, it's almost like this bulkhead here at frame 41 had shelving on both sides of it. But we do have two interesting spaces here, and we're going to head through, and then Lucas will kind of tell how you originally accessed this space as well. So we want to head through.
So we've moved into the starboard electronic repair parts stowage. And as you can see, again, there's not much to really look at here. There's just a bunch of these shelvings and insulation that block everything. But from the plans, we do know that this was the starboard 5-inch ammunition magazine for the forward starboard 5-inch guns. And originally, the way you would get in here is forward through a door that is now behind that shelf. You're just going to have to believe me that it's there. We're going to hopefully try to find our way to that space. But now, the only way into these spaces are through these openings cut out between the former ammunition rooms.
So, they wanted to make a sailor's life easier. If you have, as Lucas was mentioning, these spaces were separated with a full bulkhead. You wanted to make a sailor's life easier. You need a component in here. No reason to go up, out, and over, and down, and through that forward door. You put these in, you make the sailor's life much easier.
So the big difference between the starboard and port side former ammunition handling spaces is that on the port side they actually added a transverse bulkhead to kind of split the space in half, and they turned the aft section of that room into the Marines' small arms ammunition stowage.
So as we've done in the other episodes, we've got to conquer frame 44 here, and we got to get to the other side of this transverse bulkhead. And we will see you again soon. So guys and gals, now we are on the immediate other side of bulkhead 44, and we are in the air conditioning equipment spaces. All right, we've got induction motors here. We've got all this valves and piping. We've got equipment from Worthington Pump Company. And so this doesn't leave much architecture to see or archaeology down here in these spaces. Again, just forward, 3 powder rooms. This was the hoists for Mount 51, 52, and 53. And they were adjacent to each other. So even though the guns are not adjacent to each other on the main deck and in the superstructure from 45 to 49, the hoists were. So this was the center one for 51, and then 52 and 53 on port and starboard. So what are we seeing here? And I know it's kind of tough, but Lucas, what can we see, or what can't we see in the archaeology that still tells us the story?
Well, unfortunately, we're in another space where the insulation just covers everything.
Yes.
But there are still a couple of things we can tell. So first of all, this is the original ladder to get down into the space. So since this was a projectile space, an ammunition handling space, the hatch to get down here is special designed to kind of prevent explosions from going to other places of the ship. And you don't need that anymore because this is the air conditioning room. Other than that,
We had a door right here, right?
yeah, so this is kind of where we left off earlier when we were on the other side in the powder room. There should be a door here. Obviously, it's not, we can't see it. But the other thing is, unlike the powder rooms, the hoist rooms were all connected together. So we have a door over here to go to the starboard hoist room. But if we look to the port side, they've filled that door in to make the IC equipment room.
Well, that's really interesting, Lucas. Another interesting thing is that with the hoists in the center going to Mount 51, the hoists would have been almost at a perpendicular 90-degree angle. We don't really fully know. It could be 85, it could be 95. But it's almost going up perpendicular from this deck. A difference is when we head into starboard, we'll talk about that hoist. So now that we're in the starboard projectile handling room, along with what would have been the hoist for one of the 5-inch guns along the waist, we're at frame 49, and there's something really interesting that would happen with these hoists here. You want to tell us about that, Lucas?
Yeah, so it's like you said earlier, the port and starboard 5-inch guns are set farther back in the ship than the center gun. So the hoist here have to go about 50 feet back at a diagonally to get up to where the guns actually are.
Yeah, that would be a severe... If we're at frame 49, I think we've calculated that we need to get to about frame 62, roughly around there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at 52 feet or about, right? So they might even be going through, not the overhead, but here they might even be going through the bulkhead. And then as they go through farther, then you're obviously getting through bulkheads, again being on the second deck, or second platform, first platform, third deck, second deck, main deck.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going well up. But yeah, we can imagine that it's even potentially going right through the bulkhead as opposed to going through the overhead right away in the space. We're slowly moving aft. We're slowly doing the architecture and archaeology here. And again, we hope that you've been enjoying these episodes. And you know what? Lucas and I will see you again soon.